seductive, irresistible, intoxicating. Now the reality is no fragrance is going to take a man from a level 1 to a level 100. But the right fragrance worn by a guy that takes care of his body, dresses well, and has his act together, maybe at a level 65, can take him to a level 85. Today's video, gents, we're talking about fragrances that turn heads that will make you irresistible. Now the first fragrance on this list comes from the house of Prada, but it is not Lunar Rosa Carbon. And I came really close to going with Prada's Lunar Rosa Black. This is an amber, musky, woody, powdery fragrance that, yes, you can wear during the cooler months, and it would have fit this list great if it wasn't for a newer release. The fragrance I'm talking about, gents, is Prada's brand new Lunar Rosa Ocean Eau de Parfum. Now, do not confuse this with the EDT. This one smells very different. The EDT is more of an aromatic, musky, powdery, lavender-based fragrance, which again, similar to Lunar Rosa Carbon, it's going to make this fragrance very versatile, but it's missing a key ingredient. Because what the EDP has is the sweetness, the dark, the richness. When we look at this fragrance, we look at the note breakout. At the top, we've got grapefruit. In the middle, we've got frankincense and woody notes. And at the base, most importantly, we've got vanilla and amber extreme. Those are the two notes I want to talk about. Gents, if you take nothing else from this video, I want you to understand how powerful of an aphrodisiac vanilla is for both women and men when it comes to smelling good. So am I saying if your sweat smells like vanilla, you're going to be attractive? Maybe. Now straight up, I know that not everyone is going to be attracted to vanilla notes in a fragrance, but universally across the board, this is one of the easiest notes to look for in a fragrance and be able to tell whether or not it's going to be seductive. And a lot of it goes back to our history. So the vanilla note is oftentimes picked up in breast milk, it's picked up in formulas, it's picked up in a lot of foods that we learn to love as children. So because of that, we have a very strong, a very primal association with wanting to get close to people wearing vanilla. In fact, there was a whole study done about men's sweat and what makes it attractive to women. Interestingly enough, the notes, the smells of certain sweat that was found to be very attractive are very similar to vanilla notes. You can mix it maybe with tobacco and all of a sudden it's going to be more of a polarizing fragrance that some people are going to absolutely love, others maybe not so much. Which, on a side note, Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille is a very polarizing fragrance, so get your nose on it before you actually make a purchase. Now the next note I want to talk about that it seems most women absolutely love, especially during the winter, but you can still pull it off in the summer. I'm talking about cinnamon, and one of the best fragrances, you can go either with the, the Eau de Parfum or just the regular Spice Bomb Infrared. Now for the original Spice Bomb Infrared, at the top we're going to see red fruits, pink pepper, saffron, in the middle cinnamon, red pepper, and at the base tobacco and benzoin. With the EDP, at the top you're going to see cinnamon, chili pepper, and pink pepper, in the middle chili pepper and leather, and at the base resins and woody notes. If I had to explain the difference in layman's terms, I would say the original has a little bit more of a tobacco scent. It's not present in the EDP, but the EDP is a bit spicier with that chili pepper note. So gents, if you're looking for a cold weather fragrance that's going to get you compliments, look to either one of these. They'll get the job done. In any case, when it comes to sweet fragrances, they're going to enhance your attractiveness. Guys, it's hard to go wrong with the house of Jean Paul Gaultier. You can also look at the Le Male line. So Ultra Male, basically cotton candy in a bottle. Too sweet for some guys. You can maybe even look at the brand new Elixir. This one's really good. But if I had to choose one in the Ultra Male line, I would go with the Le Parfum. The top notes on this fragrance are going to be cardamom. In the middle, we've got lavender and iris. And at the base, vanilla and both oriental and woody notes. Now, of course, it depends on the person, and different people have different reactions to lavender. But in general, most people are going to find it an anxiety relieving type of note. It just makes people more relaxed, more calm. Now the next fragrance on this list is going to be Jean Paul Gaultier's Scandal Pour Homme. Now the top notes here are going to be clary sage and mandarin orange. In the middle, we've got caramel and tonka bean. And at the base, we have vetiver. Now in case you're not familiar with tonka bean, this is going to give a little bit of a chocolate coffee type of smell, and that caramel. That right there in the middle, this is the key to this fragrance being so seductive, so attractive. It's sweet, it just is warm, it's inviting, and this one is a lady killer. So what about the Le Parfum? This one just came out, and if you want something that's less sweet, let's say the other one is a bit too cloying for you, you want something that's a bit toned down, more mature, this would be a good choice. Now what about the house of Armani? So when it comes to seduction, when it comes to being more attractive, when it comes to an alluring scent, it's not going to be the brand new Parfum. This is a fine fragrance, but it's definitely not my top 5 of Acqua di Gios. This one is absolute. This one flies under the radar, but the reason I'm putting it on this list is it's perhaps the sexiest of all the Acqua di Gios. Now, Acqua di Gios in general are not considered the sexiest of all fragrances, but this one right here, if I had to choose one that is going to draw in the ladies, this would be it. Now, what about the Armani Code? So you're going to see the new code that just came out, and this is a fine fragrance. Reminds a lot of people of the original, but again, look to the Absolute. This one, a very strong vanilla note. It's got great longevity. It still has the same code DNA. Code fragrances, though, have kind of gone in and out. Some people feel they're a bit dated. I think the Absolute is an under the radar. You know, you're looking at Eros now. Check out the Absolute. This one is a great clubbing fragrance. And I know technically this one is Emporium Armani, but I'm going to include it right here on this list with the other Armanis. Guys, go with the original, Stronger with You. I probably avoided this fragrance for a couple years. I hated the name, but then you get your nose on the fragrance and it's the nuts, the hazelnut right in there. Absolutely beautiful. There are many variations of this, but in my opinion, nothing replaces the beauty of the original. Still the best. So let's change gears, because all the fragrances we've talked about up to this point are more for cooler weather. But if you're in part of the world where it never gets cold, where it's always going to be tropical, it's always going to be warm, you have, a pretty humid, hot winter, then consider these fragrances if you want something that's green, something that's fresh, something that's seductive. So first up, I've got the Gucci Guilty Love Edition. And as you can tell right here, I wore the heck out of this fragrance over the summer. It's got a sweet, interesting, beautiful smell with that top note of ginger, mandarin orange, pink pepper, and kumquat. In the middle, we've got lavender, rosemary, and geranium. And at the base, vetiver, patchouli, and benzoin. If you like Gucci Black, you are gonna love the Love Edition. It's bright, refreshing, and has a beautiful citrus fruity opening. And so we're making a leap here, but in general, the smell of fruit is something that ladies find very attractive, especially in the warmer weather. Now, this next fragrance totally surprised me when I picked it up just a couple weeks ago. It's brand new, and that is Coach's New Green. So I wasn't expecting much from this fragrance, but I put on a few sprays. One, it had more projection and power than I expected, especially for a green colored fragrance like this, but it was the kiwi note at the top. That's the reason it's on this list, because as soon as my wife smelled it, she's like, man, you smell really good, which for a guy that wears different fragrances every day is a great compliment. Now, at the top, besides the kiwi, we've also got bergamot in the middle. We've got rosemary and geranium, and at the base, cedar and moss. Now, don't let the moss turn you off. The moss is actually there for longevity and helps the fragrance to project, which now makes sense. But what I like about this one, besides sticking around, is that kiwi, that fruit right there, makes it very attractive. It's an aromatic, just a really nice, again, warmer weather fragrance. This isn't something you want to wear during the winter, but I like it because it's exactly what it is, and it's a Coach fragrance, so it's relatively easy to find. Now, really quick, gentlemen, some honorable mentions. So we've got Ralph Lauren's Ralph's Club Elixir, Givenchy's Gentleman's Society, Creed's Millesime Imperial, Parfums de Marly's Herod, Angel Share by Kilian, and Azzaro's The Most Wanted. Now, speaking of easy to find fragrances, let's talk about probably the big three. These are the ones that, if you look at the best selling fragrances, they would easily be in the top 5, at least in the top 10. So at the top is going to be Sauvage. Am I going to recommend the Elixir? I've got it. I'm not going to put the Elixir on this list. Instead, I'm going to talk about the Parfum. This one was really overlooked. It's smoother, it's richer, it doesn't project as much, and I think they toned down the ambroxan. I think it still gets compliments. It is flies under the radar. Everyone's now focused on the Elixir. A lot of people, when they first get into it, they grab the EDT, but look at the Parfum. You're going to find a theme here, because the same thing with Eros. So the Eros, the EDT, is still probably the best deal out there. If you're looking at discounters, I do recommend that for a younger guy, but if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you want a sweet clubbing fragrance that, yes, is going to smell like a lot of other guys, but it smells great. Look at the new Parfum. This one just came out recently in the last couple of years. And speaking of Parfums, Bleu de Chanel. I'm waiting for Bleu de Chanel to come out with an Elixir, come out with something super strong. I mean, they really haven't released anything new in the Chanel line, but the Parfum is absolutely beautiful. Yes, the EDT you can probably find at a discounter, and if you've never smelt Bleu de Chanel, this one actually is an easy blind buy. Incredibly, you can dress it up, you can dress it down. The Parfum doesn't project more. It doesn't last longer than the EDT. Each of these Parfums that I've listed here, they are smoother than the originals. They're easier to wear, and I think for a mature man that wants something that's going to just draw in the ladies, you can't go wrong with any of these.